Hello, welcome to. As the dust settles on Salem's blood-stained corridor, the future of two very different brothers hangs in the balance. Will the evidence send Xander Cook Kiriakis straight to the unforgiving cells of Statesville prison, or will a wounded Philip Kiriakis rise from his hospital bed and shield his attacker, hoping that one selfless act might purchase forgiveness for them both? The story that follows unpacks each twist and turn behind that fateful beating, guiding you gently through the tangled motives, looming legal battles, and raw family loyalties that could decide whether justice, or mercy, has the final say. 1. A quiet night shattered. If you have watched Days of Our Lives for any length of time, you know that peaceful moments in Salem are rare. Still, no one, least of all Kate Roberts, expected the grisly scene that unfolded in a back hallway of the Titan Industries building late last week. Kate's son, Philip Kiriakis, portrayed by Jean-Paul Lavoisier, was discovered lying unconscious in a pool of his own blood, his face bruised beyond recognition, and his ribcage so badly crushed that several organs began to fail almost immediately. Standing over Philip, fists still clenched, was his half-brother Xander Cook Kiriakis, played by Paul Telfer. Witnesses arriving seconds later say they heard Xander mutter, "Nothing's going to save you," before he turned and walked away, breathing hard, his knuckles raw and bleeding. That single moment has set into motion a chain of events that could tear the Kiriakis family, and half of Salem, apart for years to come. 2. The power of maternal instinct. Veteran viewers will remember that Kate Roberts, Lauren Koslow, has always been a fiercely protective mother. Whether shielding her children from corporate sharks or literal assassins, she takes threats to her brood personally. Seeing Philip's battered body wheeled into Salem University Hospital triggered the full force of her maternal wrath. Doctors rushed Philip into emergency surgery. Internal bleeding had collapsed one lung, his liver was lacerated, and swelling around the brain put his life in jeopardy. While surgeons fought to keep him alive, Kate paced the waiting room like a caged lioness. In her mind there was no question who was responsible: Xander. And if the police would not act, she would find another way to see him punished. 3. Why would Xander beat Philip? To understand the motive, we have to rewind 2 weeks. The medical world in Salem has been buzzing about Versix, an experimental drug developed at University Hospital. Early trials suggest Versix could reverse certain forms of irreversible brain damage, offering a faint but precious hope for Bo Brady, Peter Reckel, who remains in a coma after last year's warehouse explosion. Versix is also valuable in more practical terms. Titan Industries has been negotiating exclusive distribution rights. In business language, that contract could be worth hundreds of millions. In family language, it could cement Titan's place atop the global pharmaceutical market. Enter Philip. Wanting to impress Xander and repair their strained relationship, he borrowed a vial of Versix, intending to sneak it to Bo in secret. Philip believed a miracle recovery would make him a hero in Xander's eyes. Unfortunately, hospital security cameras caught part of the theft, police questioned staff, and word reached Xander before Philip could explain his noble intentions. To Xander, it looked like corporate sabotage, another betrayal by a brother he already distrusted. When Xander confronted Philip in the deserted hallway, their argument escalated from angry words to a single punch. And then to a flurry of kicks that left Philip broken on the floor. Xander's mercenary past, years of working as a killer for hire for various shadowy figures, erupted in a moment of primal rage. 4. The immediate investigation. Salem PD arrived within minutes. They noted the obvious: Philip's body showed blunt force trauma consistent with fists and heavy boots. Xander's hands were swollen and split, specks of Philip's blood were visible beneath his nails. Even so, the police chose to detain Xander for questioning rather than book him outright. Rafe Hernandez, the police commissioner, cited insufficient physical evidence and conflicting witness statements. He released Xander pending further investigation, a move that has many in town shaking their heads in disbelief. Kate, meanwhile, was livid. From her hospital chair beside Philip's bed she vowed to push for attempted murder charges. She has already demanded that detectives take a full DNA swab from Xander's knuckles and compare it to the blood inside Philip's wounds. If those samples match, it will be hard for any jury to accept Xander's claim of self-defense, or whatever story his attorney will surely concoct. 5. Gathering the evidence. Kate's legal advisors outlined several steps she could pursue. DNA and serology tests, laboratory confirmation that Philip's blood is present on Xander's skin, clothing, or jewelry would convert suspicion into hard fact. Surveillance footage, Titan security cameras may have captured the start of the altercation. Even a few seconds of video showing Xander throwing the first punch could seal the case. Medical expert testimony. Salem's chief trauma surgeon could testify that Philip's injuries were life-threatening and consistent with an intent to kill, a phrase that carries tremendous weight in court. Character witnesses, Sarah, Maggie, and yes, even Victor's widow, could speak about Xander's violent history, including prior episodes when he resorted to deadly force for lesser provocations. Should Kate push each of these levers, Xander might find himself in an orange jumpsuit at Statesville prison before Philip regains consciousness. 6. Xander's legal defense. A murky path. Xander is no fool. He has already contacted Justin Kyriakis, the family's most experienced attorney. Justin may argue that Xander never intended to kill Philip, that rage clouded his judgment for a brief moment. They may claim Philip provoked the fight by stealing proprietary property and endangering a critical business deal. Yet even the most sympathetic juror may struggle to look past Philip's shattered ribs and collapsed lung. How many kicks does it take before a reasonable man stops? At what point does a lapse in judgment become an assassination attempt? 7. Shadows over Philip's own integrity. Here lies the cruel twist. Philip is no angel. Encouraged by Vivian Alamain, Louise Sorrell. He falsified inventory records, forged several signatures on Titan authorization forms, and quietly moved hospital funds to cover his tracks. If prosecutors dig too deeply, Philip could face charges of fraud, corporate espionage, and perjury. Several key witnesses, Stephanie Johnson, Alex Kyriakis, Sarah Horton, and Maggie Horton Kyriakis, know about Philip's paperwork shenanigans. For now they remain silent, disoriented by the severity of his injuries. But a subpoena has a way of forcing honest tongues. If they admit Philip's crimes under oath, he might trade his hospital gown for a prison jumpsuit as soon as he can stand. This tangle of wrongdoing on both sides muddies Kate's quest. If Philip ends up on trial himself, the prosecution may portray the hallway assault as rough justice, rather than attempted murder. Kate would then see her son and his attacker sharing the same courtroom, and possibly the same penitentiary. 8. The fragile web of family loyalties within the Kyriakis mansion. Nerves are frayed. Sarah Horton, Lindsay Godfrey, stares at the nursery door, torn between her lingering affection for Xander and her revulsion at what he has done. She finally ordered him to leave the house, yet his parting words, "Victoria is the only thing that matters to me now," echo like a threat and a farewell rolled into one. Maggie, always the peacemaker, fears Victor's legacy will be stained beyond repair if the public sees two Kyriakis men on opposite sides of an attempted murder case. Alex broods in silence, resentful that Titan's share price dropped 7% overnight on rumors of violent infighting. And Kate sits alone by Philip's bedside, knitting her anger into a single, unwavering promise: Xander will pay. 9. What happens when Philip wakes up? Doctors have placed Philip in a medically induced coma to reduce brain swelling. They will attempt to wake him gradually over the next several days. When he finally opens his eyes, 3 questions will hang in the air like storm clouds. Will he remember the attack? Traumatic brain injury sometimes wipe minutes, or hours, from a victim's memory. Will he protect Xander? Philip may believe that shielding his brother keeps the family out of tabloid headlines, preserving Titan's reputation and sparing Beau's potential cure from scandal. Will he confess his own crimes? Guilt and gratitude often walk hand in hand. Philip might feel that honesty is the only path to personal redemption, even if it lands him behind bars. Kate's nightmare scenario is simple. Philip wakes, whispers, "I don't know who did this," and leaves her without a star witness. In that event, the police might drop the case, and Xander would walk free. 10. Possible paths forward. Because soap opera plots can twist on a dime, seasoned viewers should watch for any of the following developments: a surprise confession. Xander could, under pressure, blurt out his guilt, perhaps in a drunken rant at the Brady pub, within earshot of a hidden tape recorder. DNA bombshell. Lab tests might reveal a speck of Xander's skin beneath Philip's fingernails, pinning the attack on him even if Philip stays silent. Philip's change of heart. Upon learning that Kate intends to press charges, Philip could beg her to back down, believing prison will destroy Xander rather than rehabilitate him. Corporate blackmail. Vivian could blackmail Philip, keep quiet about verse 6, or she releases documents proving he forged Titan's purchase orders. A new villain in town. Never rule out the possibility that someone else, with motive to derail verse 6, swooped in after Xander's first punch and delivered the crushing blows. A second attacker would rewrite the entire narrative and plunge Salem into even murkier water. 11. The heart of the matter. A mother's decision in the end. Days of Our Lives often returns to simple human emotions. Kate's fury springs from love, raw, protective, uncompromising. Yet love can heal or destroy. If she pursues a scorched earth strategy, demanding that the district attorney charge Xander with attempted murder and seeking the harshest possible sentence, Xander's life might be ruined forever. But if she steps back, placing faith in forgiveness or in the slow churn of karma, she risks sending a message that violence comes without consequence. Her choice will echo beyond her family, shaping how Salem views justice, mercy, and the true meaning of loyalty. 12. A final word for longtime viewers as we wait for the next episode. Let us remember, soap operas mirror our own trials, magnified and dramatized. Each character reflects a sliver of ourselves, our anger, our love, our fear of losing the people who matter most. Whether Kate succeeds in placing Xander behind Statesville's iron bars, or whether Philip rises from his hospital bed to forgive, we will watch, week after week, because these fictional families help us wrestle with real emotions. For now, keep a tissue box handy and perhaps a calming cup of tea. Salem's storm has only just begun, and anyone who has followed Days for decades knows, when the Kyriakis family fights, no one emerges unscathed, not even the audience glued to the screen. Stay tuned, stay compassionate, and, above all, stay prepared for the unexpected. In Salem, the next shocking twist is always just one heartbeat away.